What is up, guys, and welcome to the Meeple Minded Podcast, the podcast where we talk all things tabletop gaming. My name is Jason.
And I'm James.
And I'm Ant, the third voice.
How are you doing this week, guys? It's only been an hour.
What do you say, Jason? It's been a week. I've just gotten over that James doesn't like my games. It's been
You don't even know. Right between recording these two episodes, the arguments has just been fantastic. Meeple Miner HQ's been set on fire. There's been riots. It's all gone wrong.
This place is in the right state. Jason's been holding people back. Can't we all just get along?
Oh man, what a fun, I don't know, 5 minutes it was. It was great. Are you hydrated? Are you suitably hydrated, James?
I am suitably hydrated.
Excellent. You got yourself a nice orange and mango juice there.
I have indeed. I feel like I'm going to make up slightly for, saying that I didn't like one of Ant's games, because on the top 5 list here, some of Ant's games do feature.
Okay, so what you're saying, is, no. What I'm gaining from this, Ant, is he's got a couple of your games that he just had.
We just had a quick word with one another and just put them on his head.
Yeah, he doesn't like some of your games, and the rest of them he figured he wouldn't like before he'd even played them.
So what's the top 5 about then, if that's the case?
Well, ironically, it's about honesty, right? No, this one is, I guess, is kind of on from last week's topical discussion, because these are games that we looked at and we just really weren't sure about.
Yeah.
Weren't really sure that they were going to tick the boxes or that we were even going to like them, right? But these are games that ended up surprising us. I think we last did a top 5 where we talked about games that kind of didn't live up to the hype.
Yeah.
I guess these ones are ones that didn't have hype to begin with. And they just genuinely made us feel good after we played them, even though we thought we wouldn't like them. And James, you've actually done a list for this one.
I have done a list, and I've just looked at it and realised that there's actually 3 of Ant's games on here.
So you're hosting this one, not James. James hosted last time.
Evidently I am. But I've got a list, unlike James, who's a terrible host and doesn't have a list.
But who's pushing the buttons, though? That's you, right?
That's me.
Okay.
That's me.
Oh, yeah. He never lets anyone else push the buttons.
Do you know what? I'm considering not doing a top 5 just so I can host an episode. I'd be interested in that. I want to push a button, goddammit.
I just don't know if I can. You've got your own little
I know, that's why I'm
thing to do. But
I want to push a button. I don't have this specific equipment at home. So.
Okay, well, it's slightly different from yours.
The buttons are smaller.
It's a different brand. Oh, no.
I wouldn't be able to hack those. My fat fingers. I'll end up pressing 2 at a time or something.
I will say the one thing I don't like about this is it's got clicky buttons on this one, whereas your one doesn't. It has those nice
rubber ones,
softer ones. So, yeah. I have to edit out the clicky noises annoyingly. But there you go. What can you do?
So
behind the scenes looks at the Meeple Minded.
So how have you compiled your list, Jason?
Well, I wrote 1 to 5, and then I wrote some game names.
And then did you go upwards or downwards?
I wrote them on in the order that they came in my mind. But I will put them in order as we're talking.
Okay.
Because I feel that that's the best, most logical way to be.
That's it.
No, I will ask, actually, is that how did you guys find writing this list? Because I know this has got to be harder for you, James, because you haven't played anywhere near as many games as we played.
No, but I actually found this list pretty easy to compile.
Okay. Because you just generally don't have high hopes for any of Ant's games, right?
For a moment, I thought he was highlighting it, and it's just an even bigger dig, really, isn't it, in a way?
Hey, I mean, what we can take away from these is that I thought I wasn't going to like them, and I actually really liked them.
Which means you made a good choice.
3 good choices.
Other than challengers, obviously. But that's good. What about you, Ant? How did you find compiling the list? Was it tough, difficult?
It was easy to start. So the first 4 were fine.
Mm-hmm.
The last one, I really struggled. The problem is that a majority of my picks are games that got me into the hobby.
Yeah.
So what I started with. Because again, I don't know anything about them. I was just playing these games because people are like, hey, try this one. Now try this one. Now try this one.
I guess you're going to be a bit more unsure of those.
Exactly, yeah. Because if you're new to it, you're just going in blind half the time, aren't you? So, and then I literally have one in there which is about 2 years old, quite recent. So,
yeah. I'd say I've got a rather eclectic mix of games on mine. So there's some in there from when I first started in the hobby. or got back into the hobby. Sorry, I can't really say first started because that was donkeys years ago. But and then some that might have suffered from that sort of hype that usually will make me feel like a game isn't as good as what's been hyped up. But in this case, they've
the hype was real,
lived up to the hype. And some that I've just sort of looked at and gone, yeah, not really sure on the theme, not really sure on the mechanisms, and then have been proven wrong. So it does happen. I'm not always right. I know, big shocker. I am generally right about everything.
Yeah, I was going to say, mine, 4 of mine are definitely theme-based. Okay. I'm not sure I'm going to like this. 1 is mechanism.
Okay, nice. So my final question, I don't know if you guys have got anything you want to ask before we go, but my final question is, what do you guys think with regards to crossover? Do you think there's going to be any crossover?
I don't know with this one. You reckon that there's one game that's on all 3 of our lists?
I think so, because I know we've all talked about it at some point.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be at least one that's on all, if not at least 2 people's lists.
It's interesting, because I reckon it's not. Looking at, just glancing down at mine, and when you say it, I'm going to be like, oh, I'd forgotten about that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's on my list, but it might come off, especially if it comes up. If someone else brings it up before I get to it, it will probably come off the list, and I'll replace it with my one honourable mention that I've got as well. But yeah, I had to really think back a long way to try and think about other games that could be on this list. But I think I went back a couple of years in the end and then realised I couldn't think any further than that because my memory is terrible. So, yeah. Is there anything else you guys want to ask before we dive in to our top 5s?
I'm ready to go.
Do you have any honourable mentions at the end? Because I've got a couple as well.
I just have one.
I've
got 2.
I don't have honourable mentions on this one.
So just checking.
Okay, cool. No worries. Are we ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the countdown.
Alrighty, guys. So you know the rules. We're going to go through our from 5 to 1. Doesn't have to be in a certain order. I know mine will be by the time we get to it, but I'll let you argue amongst yourselves who's going first, because it damn sure ain't going to be me.
I went first last time, so it's James.
James is going first. Okay, James, here we go. 5. James, sir, number 5.
My number 5 is Fallout Shelter.
He nearly spat his coke out all over my mic.
What?
What? Okay, James, why Fallout Shelter?
Fallout Shelter. Well, at the time that Anthony introduced us to Fallout Shelter, I knew absolutely nothing about Fallout.
Yes, I think both of us were in the same boat. It was just like, oh, it's a computer game.
Yeah.
That was the extent of it.
It's more importantly, at that time, it was a computer game that I had absolutely zero interest in.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I still do have zero interest in it, but yeah.
But I knew that it was also quite... there was quite a lot of lore around it. And I think my concern going into that game, even though it was a fairly small and simple game, was I'm not going to understand what's going on because I know nothing about... Because it's an IP, I know nothing about this world. So I'm going to really struggle to be immersed in it.
Yeah. Were you worried that the IP was going to be so integral to the game that you wouldn't really understand what the game...
Yeah.
Because it's a worker placement game, which we already know we like as a mechanism, which is why I was okay with it. I wasn't in the park of, I'm not really sure about this game. It was, I know worker placement, I like worker placement. Even if the theme doesn't bother me or doesn't grip me, I know I'm okay with it. But do you think that the theme for you was...
Yeah,
you knew a bit more about it.
Yeah,
you thought it was so integral it might change.
I was concerned that the lore from the game was going to be you need to know things like factions and enemies and that. I was like, I don't understand what's going on. It's I was worried. To me, it's going to be pushing pieces around a board because the story that goes with the game, I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
So while the mechanisms were there, that you knew the mechanisms, you were worried that you wouldn't be able to make the most optimal moves or see the most optimal moves unless you knew what the canon would decree. Yeah.
Effectively.
That's fair. Lots of heavy words there.
Yeah, and happy to be proved wrong because it's a very good game.
It is. It's a very, very good.
Yeah, I think that's something I should have mentioned when we did the review for it, that it was like its own separate game within the world of it. But I totally understand. I mean, I kind of got that from both of you because I was super worried about it, bringing it to it, and you're both undernard in a way too. I mean, obviously not because you played it in the end, but I'm glad it still surpassed it. And you ended up playing the video game in the end, I believe, at some point as well. Or?
So I got into Fallout because when the TV series came out. So I watched the TV series, which again, everyone was talking about it. It's one of those, I'll get around to it when I got time. Because again, it was another one of those things where I don't know anything about the lore. So am I going to switch this TV, or the TV series is probably a good way to get into it because they will have assumed that casuals, like myself, won't know that stuff. So they'll use the TV series to introduce you to it. And then enjoyed the TV series so much that I ended up going out and buying one of the games.
There you go. So
nice. Yeah. And it all came from that board game.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. A nice surprise for you indeed, James.
Indeed.
Very good. That's Fantasy Flight Games, isn't it?
It is, yes. Yeah.
When they used to make board games.
That's true, yeah.
Oh, well. Shame. They used to do some good stuff. It's a shame they're not doing that so much.
Well, they did too, didn't they? They did the actual Fallout game, didn't they?
Yeah.
Which is kind of out of print now, I believe. But Fallout Shelters.
I believe most of their stuff is out of print.
Is it really?
As far as I'm aware, yeah. Shame. Oh, well. Good choice, James. Well done.
Good choice, mate.
Anthony, what is your number 5, sir?
My number 5 is Ark Nova.
Oh, okay. Straight at me now.
Straight at Jason. Not purely because it was your game, Jason. It was purely because the theme itself is not my forte. I am not a fan of nature games or animal games, zoo games, anything to do with animals. And I know you have an amazing collection of those type of games. So when you said, this is the game, this is like in my top 5 of all time, this is BGG's top 5 of all time, here's what it is. And I'll be honest, I was intimidated by it.
Okay.
It's massive, isn't it? It's all this, and it's all this, and your player actions this is how you do it differently. It's a very unique system in how you take your turn with the cards, swapping them around and stuff, compared to what other games I played and stuff. And I was just widely surprised how quite easy it is to do, and it doesn't look as complex as the table presence it has of itself.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, like my games, I think I own one game that's to do with nature, and that's harmonies. I don't have anything else with it. So it was a very picky theme for me, and it's proven to me that not all those games aren't as bad as I think they are.
Okay.
I mean, Wingspan, fine. Fox's Experiment, nah, it's okay. But Ark Nova, god damn, that's a game.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's definitely one of a nature game that I thoroughly enjoy playing.
So that's not even just a case of a game that surprised you into the fact that you actually did like it. It's a surprise in the fact that actually, no, this is genuinely one of the
it's like you said at the beginning of the episode about the hype of it, because I think that was another thing that put me off it, because when we first played it, it was like the game at the time. It was all over the place, and everyone had to own a copy of it. And I get pushed off by games that have too much hype, like Arks at the moment. It's too much for me. I won't play it. But this game proved me wrong on it. Yeah. And I think the hype was real for this specific game.
Okay.
And another thing that I'm not particularly fond of, and it just, totally proved my point that, unproved that I should have played it earlier. Yeah. So, yeah.
No, that's fair, and incredibly good choice.
Yeah, very good game.
More importantly, a fantastic choice by me.
Of course.
To introduce you to said game.
Of course, mate.
Proving once and for all that I am always right.
That's why he's head of the table.
Well, let's prove that that is not the case whatsoever by going to my number 5, because I am not infallible. I do indeed misjudge games, and my number 5 was The Crew Quest for Planet 9.
Still not played this.
A lovely little trick-taking game, which I will be honest, at the time of playing this, I don't think I'd actually played any trick-taking games, but at the same time, when people were trying to sell it to me, that sounds boring. It sounds stupid. Why can't I talk to people? Why can't we communicate? And I just didn't really get the idea behind the game. But as with always, I say I'm an omni gamer. I will try any game once. So I sat down, I played it. And of course, in that game, it's sort of small missions, right? So you've got the missions get progressively harder. More cards are played as you go through the mission book. And we sort of did the first 10, and by sort of the third or the fourth game that we were doing. There were like 5-10 minute games. I was hooked. I wouldn't say it's the best game ever. Far from it. Do I still own a copy? No, it's gone.
You did have it though, right?
I did have it.
Yeah.
But it was a game that genuinely surprised me because, as I said, when I was looking at the game, when I was watching people play the game, and when people were talking to me about the game, all that I had in my mind was, that sounds boring. I don't see where the fun is here. But then again, the hype was there. People were talking about it. Okay, I'll play it. And I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. Like I said, it's not the best game ever, but it presented enough of a surprise to me that proved me wrong with my initial thoughts before I'd sat down and played the game, that it was enough to make it to this list. So, yeah.
I'm quite shocked about that because I thought you didn't like the game.
No, I do. I like it. I know James wasn't a big fan of the game, were you?
I wasn't.
But again, I think trick-taking games especially, they are definitely the Marmite of board games, right? You either love or you hate trick-taking games. And I would like to think I'm somewhere in the middle. I definitely don't love trick-taking games. However, I've been playing a lot more of them recently.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've been enjoying them quite a bit.
I've got to say, I think, hand on heart, the only one that I've truly enjoyed is Trick Draw.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's not really a trick-taking game, though, is it? It's, yeah. I think the one I've most been enjoying recently is Trio. That was a really, really good game. But yeah, I do think...
Would you say Bad Trevor's one?
It's not really a trick-taker, no. Trick-takers are really difficult to sort of try and... Yeah. I mean, all trick-takers for me are exactly the same. I think that's why I'm not so keen on them. But yeah, the Crew Quest, I never played the second Crew game that was just, in my eyes, a re-theme of the first one. But yeah, I think I would like to try some of the well-known best trick-taking games out there to really cement whether I am a fan or not a fan of trick-takers. So I will probably be looking into that. We might end up getting a copy of them into the Meeple-minded and see if we can get them to the table and torture James just a little bit more.
Yay.
Because that's always fun.
Not only is he getting tortured by legacy games, you've got to throw that at him now as well.
I am. This is the real reason we're doing these episodes, because I can find out what James doesn't like. Because then I can torture him. Lovely being honest, James. It's all about the honesty, as we said in the last episode.
However.
Indeed. Are you ready for your number 4, sir?
I am ready for my number 4.
Okay, let's go. What is your number 4?
I'm quite interested to see your reaction to this one. My number 4 is Draft and Write Records.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
That is interesting.
I think I know where you're going with this one. I think I know where because you're not a big fan of X and Write games, right?
And that is what it is. And a perfect example of that would be Dice Hospital and its equivalent Roll and Write. I love Dice Hospital. I didn't get on with the Dice Hospital Roll and Write.
Yeah.
And when I first saw Draft and Write, all I saw was the pad.
Yes.
Didn't see the cards, didn't see the band construction mechanic, didn't see all the intricate mechanics that are actually on the pad.
Yeah.
I just thought it was effectively your bog standard X and Write.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure I was going to, even though the theme is there, this is my mechanic one. It's like I really wasn't sure I was going to like this, and that it was going to be overshadowed by the other one that we saw at Expo.
Yes. Yeah. Hard Rock 1977.
Yeah. So that is my number 4.
Okay. Now I'm somewhat surprised by that, but by the same token, I do remember you saying in the episode that we've done on Draft and Write that, X and Write games aren't really your cup of tea.
So it's more the mechanic side of it.
Yeah, it was literally, it's an X and Write.
So the theme was definitely there for you. I remember that.
Yeah, obviously, basically touring a band. It's like, oh yeah, the theme is right up my street. But as
the mechanism was there, causing an air of doubt.
Yes.
Okay. Nice. Was that one that it's a silly question because I think I know the answer, but is that one that just surprised you in the fact that you ended up liking the game, or was it a surprising thing of, oh my god, this game is
Yeah, I mean, I think that came across in the episode we did on it. I ended up loving the game because of that band creation.
Yeah.
With the cards, getting all the synergy to line up with that. So it's not just an X and right, is it? There's putting cards in the right place with it. So it's like it's got more to it than your standard X and right.
Yeah.
And I thought all those things played really well, played in well with the theme, and so I ended up loving it.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not a fan of those type of games either, personally, and I've played a fair share of them, and I can honestly say I really friggin' enjoyed this one as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more your theme than mine, but I still really loved the theme to it as well.
Yeah.
And I think it worked well as the combo, to be honest. Yeah, it's definitely one that I've enjoyed on that sort of,
but like I said,
X and right list.
For me, so far, it's one of the best games of the year. I'm not in the same camp as you. I, to a degree, quite like X and right style games. You know, I sort of looking behind James.
Yeah,
there
we noticed
on my my studio setup. One of the highest placed games up there is Ganshon Clever. I know I've got Molehill Meadows behind me. Obviously, Roll and Right or Draft and Right. There's a fair few scattered behind me. I know that much. So it's a game mechanism I quite like. Unfortunately, it does get a bit samey. So when you find one that has something different, then it begins to shine. And Draft and Right was definitely one of those that shines as one of the best in the genre. So very good choice there. I once again knew that I was right and provided you with a great game. That's going to be the theme
good choice,
of this
mate.
episode.
Very good choice.
Anthony, what is your number 4, sir?
My number 4 is part 2 of a trilogy, Rising Sun.
Okay.
Simon's Rising Sun. So I played this very early in my stages of becoming a gamer and to the hobby as well. So it was that time where we were all in lockdown and Wayne invited me over to Simon's to play this game. Again, knew nothing of it, knew nothing of the theme of it. But as soon as I walked into that room and saw that massive table with all these figurines on there, the only thing that came to mind was Risk. Like, this looks like a Risk game. I have nothing against Risk. I've only played it once in my entire life, and it was a certain version. I think it was like a Game of Thrones version. So I've not played Risk officially, but I thought this is what I was walking into. And then when I sat there and, you know, Wayne being the fantastic teacher that he is, it was completely nothing like that at all whatsoever. It was just completely what I wanted to get from it more. The theme was fantastic as well. I quite like the theme as well. The older style Japanese with the different types of samurais, and you got the different types of mythological creatures around that era and stuff. It was just not was what I expected it to be. When as soon as I walked in and saw that, and yeah, I can't deny I really enjoyed it. I haven't played it as much. I used to own it. It never came to the table enough because it is a long slog of a game. But I can't deny that it was a massive eye-opener for me and was a really good game. It was not what I expected whatsoever.
Okay.
So, yeah, I had to put that on the list.
So I can't, unfortunately, chime in too much on that because I still haven't played it. I think the only one of that trilogy that I did was Ankh.
Yes.
Gods of Egypt, which I really did like. So.
Yeah, I think it's my least favourite of the trilogy, but for a game of what I was expecting, and it wasn't the case at all, I can't lie about how good of a time it was and experience of it. But,
Ankh nearly made this list, actually, because I did consider putting it on there because I remember at the time you guys were raving about the likes of Rising Sun.
Yeah.
And that sort of got that hype factor in there, which made me consider that whole, I don't know. But then the reason it didn't make the list is because I saw what Ankh was. I saw the theme. I saw the game mechanisms before sitting down to play it. So that air of doubt had already gone.
Right.
It's like, again, even if I don't dig the theme, I've already got the game mechanisms. I can deal with it. So yeah, I that's why Ankh didn't make.
Yeah,
it didn't even make.
Ankh's my favourite of the trilogy, so it couldn't go on the list. I mean, I was more surprised with Rising Sun, so that's why I had to go on there.
Okay, nice. So was that just more because of what it looked like, and then what it actually provided you?
Yeah, it's like I said, I saw it. It was intimidating again because that's what most of these games are on my list. But the fact that I was expecting a certain style of a game, and it wasn't that, it was something completely different. I was like, oh, okay, this is actually quite an easy game once you get to how the round segment goes.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so that's why.
I would switch to James for his opinion, but I know he's not played it. So
I have not played it.
But you've played Ankh.
I have.
Yeah.
Which, I think that seems to be a 50-50 split, though, right? It's either you think Ankh is the best or you think Rising Sun is the
A
best.
lot of people think Rising Sun is, and in all fairness, it is the more detailed out of the three. But I think Ankh, for me, I love the theme more. I'm more into Egyptian gods and that type of era of Egypt more than the mythological Japan sort of style.
Of course, yeah.
So
I'm the same.
yeah, and I think the game style is much easier and more player friendly for Ankh to play rather than Rising Sun.
Nice. Okay, anything else you want to say
No,
about
that's it. Rising Sun's number 4.
Excellent. Right, so my number 4 is Starfighters Rapid Fire by Alley Cat Games.
Okay.
I know we've all played this, and the reason this one made the list is because, again, going back to what James was saying, it was about the mechanisms. The theme I quite liked the idea of. It was like X-Wing, but on a tiny scale. I really liked that. What I wasn't sure about and what put the doubt in my mind was that real-time dice rolling, frantic dice rolling. Real-time games just ain't my jam. There's very, very few that get into my list of I like this game. Starfighters Rapid Fire was one of them. I unfortunately don't own it anymore because it just wasn't seeing the table, but that was a good game. There's the likes of Project Elite as well. That's another real-time game, rapid fire dice rolling that made that list. But yeah, I had that element of doubt with this game purely based on that mechanism of, this is a rapid, quick fire game where you need instant light flashing reactions, which is not something I'm particularly great at. So yeah, that was a nice surprise to me that it was nice and simple and it wasn't too punishing if you weren't super quick. So very nice surprise. I think it was a very well designed game. Just a shame it doesn't see the table all that often. So yeah.
Do you still play those type of games now, or I know there's not many of them at the moment, but
well, I can say that I don't own any.
Right.
I don't own any game that has that kind of mechanism. I sold Project Elite again. The only reason it was sold is because it just wasn't seeing the table.
Yeah. I think that's why I sold mine as well.
If someone wanted to play it, I would play it.
Yeah.
Same with this game. I would happily play those. Again, I'm open to playing these games. They just have an uphill battle because they're not really what I would usually go for. So there you go. James, are you ready for your number 3, sir?
I am.
Here we go. Number 3, sir.
Oh, okay. My number 3 is Savannah Park.
I'm offended, James. I'm offended. That's a lovely little game.
It is, but much like Ant said when in his Art Nova breakdown, animal-themed games, not my thing. Even extended to the point, I think the first time I saw it set up, it's like pushing animals around a watering hole. I'm not sure this is going to be my jam.
Okay. Yep.
And then we played it.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And I tend to, as opposed to Ant, I tend to separate games like Ark Nova out of the animal-based ones because it's more about the facility building because you're building a zoo as to actual moving animals around like Savannah Park. I can deal with zoo building because I grew up on games like
Zoo
Tycoon, Roller Coaster Tycoon, all that kind of stuff. So a game like Ark Nova, I can get behind. It's a lot more of a struggle to Savannah Park. Position animals around a watering hole.
Yeah.
Just not really it's not the kind of game that I think I'm going to like, but then it's very much the mechanisms that made that game.
Yeah.
Like, I love somebody else flips the 2 zebras. Everyone has to move the 2 zebras.
Yeah, even if it's not the most opportune moment.
Yeah, and it's a surprisingly, from when you're looking at it, a surprisingly thinky game.
Yeah.
And that's why I love it.
Yeah, and
but
you get that also that thing of you've got that plan going, and then I come along and just go like all of the animals round one watering hole. No, I'm not ready for that one yet.
Yeah, that's I think is the takeaway I get from that game is the sheer amount of I wasn't ready for that one.
Yeah, The unintentional player interaction, I think.
Yeah, and that is one of those games where I feel it really is unintentional because you are so fixated on your own board, even though you know, and it would be very easy to power game this by really messing other people up, but you are so fixated on yours and all the additional rules for placement that you flip something and then just the sweetness of hearing everyone else around the table go, ah!
That's pretty much me.
Yeah.
So yeah, my number 3, Savannah Park.
I actually played that over the weekend, as it happened, at Paul's game day. Taught that one to a few other people and created some nightmares. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And you've played Savannah Park, haven't you?
Yes, Jason, I have. This is one of those games that when my phone warns me, my stress level goes up. And for a man with a skin condition, I should not be getting stressed. So I have not played that game since.
Okay. So,
but I do understand where James is coming from. I mean, it's a good game, don't get me wrong, but it's one of those ones that is just so infuriating. It's just, it aggravates me. And like James said, it's like, I'm the guy that's going, every time. So
number 3 on Ant's list is Savannah Park.
It's not, Savannah Park's like number 10.
That's a very good choice, sir. Very, very good choice. Anything else you want to say about it?
No, I think we're ready for Ants.
Excellent. Ant, what is your number 3?
Scythe.
Oh, okay.
Scythe is my number 3.
I'm insulted. I don't even own it.
I actually own this as well, so but I think this proves because of the amount of what I own of it. I own pretty much all of it. And this was one of those ones where certain people are saying this is one you have to play. If you're getting into the hobby, you've got to play it. And I believe you and I played it for the first time together.
I believe so.
Yeah. And again, it's just one of those games I was not expecting. I knew of the game. I knew what it does. I never knew how it played. And it's another massive one, isn't it? And it's just like there's a lot of pieces here. There's a lot going on, but it's quite fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely one that I would walk around, and if I was a newcomer, be like, "Oh, I'm not too sure about that." But it's another game that proves that it's just sit down, literally give it a try, and it's actually quite as easy as I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to do this.
Yes, it is one of those games, isn't it? Because when you see it laid out on the board, it looks like a dudes on a map game. But then
it does,
which it sort of is. But then you've got like the objectives, which make it not so much dudes on a map. Then you've got the Titans or whatever they are, the mechs. Yeah. And then you think to yourself, well, okay, this is a full-out war game now. Why would I want to play something like that? This is something I'm trying to get away from. And then you've got like your own sort of management board that you've got going on as well. There's lots of little mechanisms all going on together in that game, and it does look very intimidating.
And that's probably why I was on it. And it's a game that completely ate my words. It's probably one of the only what's the word for the first type of game you should be playing?
Oh, like a gateway
game. That's it. Yeah, that's the one I'm looking for. It's definitely one of those gateway games I can honestly say lived up to its hype. We mentioned on the last episode where I said Ticket to Ride has been one of those gateway games. Pandemic's been one of those games. I've not enjoyed either one of those, but Scythe is probably the only gateway game I've gone, yes, this is a gateway game.
I mean, we've argued it's definitely a gateway game if you're coming from the war game background.
Yes.
But not so much if you're just coming into the hobby whatsoever, because then it's a hell of a steep learning curve. But yeah, I can understand that. Very intimidating looking game. I'm surprised that, but at the same time,
that's how I felt when I first played. I'll be honest. I mean, for you'd been into the hobby a lot more than I had, so I think you were a bit more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah, and definitely for me and James as well, because we both came from that war game background.
Yeah.
So we were, when you're coming from playing something like Warhammer, where you've got a rule book that's the size of a paving slab, and you sort of look at a game like Scythe, for example, you do look at it as a war game and go, this looks simple.
Yeah.
It looks very simple compared to what we're used to.
Yeah.
However, coming the other way, if we weren't coming from that background, it's like, oh, this does look a bit...
Yeah, and considering the first time I played it, I was playing with two better gamers than me at the time. You guys are essentially more pros than I was. I was only a noob, more experienced. I was only a year into the hobby myself. So for me to come out and go, I don't think I'm going to fit in with this game as well as these guys, it was actually quite it's actually not too bad,
Yeah.
to be honest. And I felt a bit more comfortable with the company in the end because I wasn't like, oh, am I doing this right? I knew I was doing it right. I just wanted to make sure that I was actually confirming, yes, this is the right move I can do.
I'm pretty sure you did very well because I'm sure you beat me.
I honestly don't remember, mate. But yeah, it's an experience I'll never forget because I was frightened to play it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
And come out of it, loving it, owning nearly every piece of it. Probably hasn't even been played for ages, but it's been in my top 10 games of all time. I really do like Scythe, but for the start of a game, it was like, no, I don't think I will.
Very, very nice.
Definitely in my words.
Okay. Understandable. James, what were your thoughts when you first played Scythe?
See, when I look at a game like Scythe, as you said, coming from both a Warhammer background as a tabletop and computer games, again, growing up with games like Command & Conquer and all those other RTS strategy games, I took one look at Scythe and go, I don't need to know anything about this game. I'm going to like it.
Yeah.
It is board game 4X. So, it's like that ticks all the boxes for me because that's a huge part of my likes. So I was like, I don't need to know the individual mechanisms in this. I'm going to like it.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. So you had the polar opposite to what Ant had, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those because it ticks so many boxes in board game form that I'm already familiar with. It's like, I know by looking at this what kind of game it is and that I'm going to like it.
Yeah. Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, that's it. Number 3, Scythe.
Excellent stuff. No, I am going to be changing my list around just slightly because I noticed that the top 2 are from the same company. So I'm going to bring one of them down into the 3rd position. And I am going to come in at number 3 with Escape Plan by Eagle Griffin Games.
Still not played this.
No, I don't know this one.
Okay, so this, I actually thought you had played this, and I could have sworn you were there when I played it, but no. Obviously, you weren't. This was one that was introduced to me by Wayne at Board Stupid. Taught the game exceptionally well. Very, very easy to understand. But the reason I was intimidated by this game is basically there's a couple of things. First off, the name that was on the box. This is a Vitel Lacerda game. I know that designer as this guy doesn't know how to do anything lighter weight than heavy. You know, he makes the heaviest weight games out there.
So that was one thing that put you off at the moment.
That was definitely something that puts me off because it's no secret to anyone. I like medium weight games, medium to heavy at most. When you start straying into that really heavyweight category, you start losing me quite quickly. And that's where their games sit.
Right.
And Escape Plan apparently is one of their lighter games. And that confirms that I probably won't play any more of their games because this game was heavy enough for me. But it was good fun. So in Escape Plan, it's been a while since I played it, so I do apologise if I get it wrong. But you are essentially playing as bank robbers and you're trying to escape the city without being caught. There's an element of cooperation between you, but every man for himself sort of thing. Get out the city, don't get caught.
Right.
You can hire goons to try and, dissuade the police from catching you from certain places. But you also want to go about the city to pick up your loot that you've sort of stolen from the bank, stashed it somewhere, and now it's your escape time. You've got to go and pick it up to get out the city. But of course, every time you do something like that, it's going to create your wanted level a bit more. It's like GTA, the game, basically.
Okay, right.
Where everything you do will kind of shine you up to the old bill, and that will make it harder for you to escape the city. Like I said, that was the first reason that I was intimidated by it, was the name. It also comes in one of those boxes. You know the box types, right? You look at them and go, that looks like that's going to be incredibly heavy.
Okay.
And it's usually the case. And one of the other games I'm going to talk about on the list comes in the same size box, which was the main reason it puts me off that game as well. But other than that, the game is very, very enjoyable. It's not actually as hard as it is. I'm actually in the market to buy a copy of Escape Plan because I enjoy it that much.
Okay.
But at this point, I have only played this game the once, and I don't feel that that's enough. I want to play it again, and I think you guys will actually enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one that Wayne's talked about a lot, and I believe it's in his top 10 of all time. I think we got around to playing it, but then I can't remember the situation. I couldn't make it, so you went instead.
I think so. Yeah.
So I have been meaning to play it, and it does sound really intriguing as well. So
Yeah, well, I probably don't do it justice. I know Wayne explains it far better than I do, but Escape Plan, very, very fun game. It did catch me off guard. I didn't think I was going to like it. I basically thought it was going to be too heavy for what I was into at the time, and I would happily play it again. I want to own it. It very much surprised me, and it really surprises me that I want to own it, because it doesn't seem like a game I would usually want to own. So there you go.
Considering how light to heavy you said you've explained it's quite intriguing for you, because you don't own stuff like that, really, to be honest. So
no, I don't. No.
So it's quite interesting that you want to, apart from maybe Terminus, I think, because you guys are saying you're kind of...
Yeah, I mean, I would even say that Escape Plan is heavier than
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean, having played it, I don't actually think Terminus is that heavy. I'd say Arc Nova is heavier than Terminus.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Escape Plan is, when you're sort of going on the BGG stats of complexity and stuff, the Lacerda games tend to be 4.5 to 5 out of 5 on their complexity.
Is it a long
levels.
game, Escape Plan?
I wouldn't say it's long, but it's not short.
Right.
It's probably an hour and a half to 2 hours, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. But there you go. That is my number 3. James, are you ready for your number 2s? Two.
Oh, number 2. Right, so this is the one when I spoke to you the other day that I was wavering over whether to take it off or not.
Okay.
Mainly because it's very similar to number 3.
Yeah.
But I've decided to stick with it, and my number 2 is Harmonies.
Harmonies. Okay. Okay. I'm actually quite surprised at this.
For very much the same reasons as Savannah Park. I know it was a game that Ant really wanted to grab at UKGE.
That's right, yeah.
And wanted to plunk it down almost straight away. But because it was another animal-based one, again, it's purely theme. It's like, I'm not sure I'm going to like it. It's going to have to be something special.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it was.
Do you know, I never knew that you wasn't into the whole animal thing as well.
No.
I'll be honest, because I wouldn't have tried to get you to it or anything, but...
Well, I'm glad you did, because
of course,
I really ended up enjoying it.
Yeah, you've talked a lot about this
because of the mechanisms in it. But yeah, this is another purely theme one, and it's why I do try on several episodes that we've done, try and hammer home that try games even if the theme doesn't immediately speak to you, because you might be pleasantly surprised.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. It's the beauty of being what we refer to as an omni gamer is, you should always try a game.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. But yeah, again, it's purely theme that I wasn't sure if I was going to like it when you initially put it down.
Yeah.
It's like, animal based.
See, I was kind of in the same boat. Like, I wanted to play it anyway because I'd heard good things about it, but there was an element of doubt in my mind as well, purely because of the explanation of it's kind of like Azul, and at the point I was over Azul. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm kind of done with it.
And I think the front cover for the box itself is kind of misleading in a way, because Harmonies doesn't really, the title itself doesn't really gel with the game as well, really, does it? It's like, apart from what you're trying to build and stuff, but when you see that cuddly lion on the front, I can see where James is coming from. And it's like, well, what am I getting myself into? Is this going to be a kiddies game with safari animals, whatnot?
It's definitely fair to say the theme on that is very abstract.
Yes, definitely.
Because you're talking about the animals and stuff in it. I completely forgot there was even that theme to it. Like, I completely forgot.
Yeah, that was when I made my argument about Arc Nova. It just comes straight to my head that there is animals in Harmonies, but because there are other ways of scoring in that game, animals are just a sidetrack to what Harmonies is. But I'm very surprised it was on the list, mate. I never knew that was a thing you wasn't a fan of.
I mean, like overarching with all my list as well, because I'm not as hot as you guys about researching what's up and coming, what to get excited for. A lot of mine are first impressions when it's put in front of me, because I don't know what's coming. So as Jason said, he had an idea because people had already spoken to it, with the whole, it's kind of like Azul.
Yeah.
As like, I don't know anything. I would agree with that statement now that I've played it, but it's like, I didn't know about this game until it was put in front of me. So that is an instant formed first impression.
Right.
Oh, animal based. Don't know.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's very fair.
And again, pleasantly surprised to find that the mechanics are. I really enjoyed them, like getting all those different terrain types to work.
Exactly. Yeah, and your animals as well.
And getting them to score off each other as well. It's just a brilliant game. But I like mechanisms like that.
Yeah. I mean, I literally took a gamble with it because the weekend before UKG, I saw Watch It Play do it with Nikki and Lincoln.
Yeah.
And they played, and I thought, you know what, that actually looks really good. Again, not my theme, but UKG's going to have it.
Yeah.
And I literally picked up the last copy from Games Law, and I thought, I know Jason's in it because he likes that, and I assumed James was in the same boat because you guys play a lot of animal type games. But yeah, like I said, I'm very shocked. I never knew that was not a thing for James, but I'm just glad that it paid off, mate, and honestly. So
Nice. Excellent. Anything else you want to say about that?
No, I'm ready for number 2.
Excellent. Anthony, number 2.
My number two is Western Legends.
Oh, I had a feeling this was going to be on your list.
It has to be because I am not a cowboy person.
Nope.
I do not like cowboy. I'm sorry to anyone who's listening that's into cowboys, but I am not a fan of that theme whatsoever. Those, whether it's to movies or games or video games of all that type, just Western times, it just doesn't hit me. But this game is, we've said it before on the podcast, I'll say it again for people who haven't listened, is literally Red Dead Redemption on a board game. There is no limit to what you can do with this game, especially if you've got the add-ons to it. If you're a cowboy and you want to live out your cowboy fantasy, this is the game for you. And I was totally shocked because I thought it'd be a simple game like go and grab some cattle and bring it back to your land or whatever it was. Yeah. No, I can go to a bar and educate hoes. Yeah. I can go rob a train if I want to. I can go to a mine and mine for gold. I can go get cattle if I want to and get chased by, you end up going on a wanted list. You can get chased by the sheriff and stuff. There is so much to this game.
It's fantastic.
Game, absolutely. I'm kind of gutted I don't own it. I have owned it before, but I don't own it now.
I don't think I've played this one.
No, it's one I had, didn't come to the table enough, and I'm kind of gutted I don't have it now, but I would like to rebuy it because I have another group now that would probably give it a go.
Your explanation of it is making me want to play it.
Honestly, mate. I mean, if there's a turn you just want to go to a bar and play poker, you can do it. There's just so much to it. I want to get the whole shebang. If I ever do buy it again, I want to get the whole lot because there is no limit to this game, what you can do. Even like upgrading your mule to a gorgeous looking horse that can travel the map even faster. Upgrade your guns into little shops and stuff, and how it's all displayed out in like a little side piece of that holds all these different types of cards. The cash, the dollar, the bucks you get, and they get there. Oh my god, I'm gutted I don't own this game. This was so close to being number 1. I'll be honest with you, and it is a total shocker because again, cowboys, no. But this game, yes.
Okay. Very nice indeed. Great choice.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I've played it or not. I'm pretty sure I played it once, but I could be wrong.
It's quite a hard game to get hold of. It comes in stock every so often, but then it goes instantly.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm hoping there'll be like some sort of backlog at Essen and grab some add-ons as well for it. And if we can ever get a chance, guys, please let's get it to a table at some point.
Yeah, I'm in for that.
Yeah, you've sold it to me.
What is your? Do you do cowboy? Are you a cowboy themed person?
I'm absolutely not interested. But the freedom, I like the sound of the freedom in this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, as a general rule, cowboys not interested.
Yeah, the aim of the game is to score the most victory points, but you choose how to do it.
Yeah.
So if you want to go mine gold and victory points, go get cattle and victory points, go do it. Done.
Very nice. Look forward to playing it.
Yeah.
Look forward to playing it again. Okay, so my number 2 is... I'm trying to decide this on the fly as to whether I'm going to do this one, but I'm going to come in and say Wingspan.
Two, James.
Number 2. Okay, so yeah, Wingspan, it's no secret. I don't need to talk about this a lot. We've talked about this quite a bit.
Yeah,
I'm surprised this is this high.
In fact, ad nauseum, I would say. We've talked about this on the show. I was unsure of this game for so long. For 2 reasons. 1, birds.
Yeah.
Don't care about birds. Theme was a bit of an issue. And then the other thing was this game was hyped to high
absolutely
heaven. And I refused to play it for quite some time. Eventually, someone tied me down to playing it. I think it was because I was at a game night and I turned up slightly late. Everyone else was in the game. There was literally me and like one other person. And
I think it was you and me again.
They wanted to play it. No, I think that this was. I think I'd played it once before I played it.
Oh, right,
myself.
okay.
And yeah, they wanted to play it, and I was, anything else? Anything else? No, okay, fine, we'll play it. And yes, it gripped me. No, the theme didn't grip me. The theme still doesn't grip me. I don't care about birds. The mechanisms, however, that engine building mechanic, it's beautiful. It works lush. There's a nice amount of range in there as to what you can and can't do. It's really, really good. I really did think that when Wormspan came out, that would have been the replacement for me for Wingspan, but give me Wingspan over Wormspan any day. So, yeah, there you go. Wingspan, I've said it before, I'll say it again.
I'm in totally in the same boat as you, mate. Birds... Who cares about stupid birds at the end of the day, right?
I think all three of us are in that boat. Theme, air, mechanics, brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic. Is it a game I own? No. Is it a game I want to own? No. Will I play it again? Yes. Yes, I will. I really enjoyed it. There you go. That's my number 2. Let's get to our number 1s. My number 1. Hands to the air, everyone. Number 1. We the ones. We the ones. James, what is your number 1?
Well, I think you know the answer to this one because this is the game I had to ask you because I couldn't remember what it was called.
I do. That's why I put in Wingspan because I thought that might have actually been on your list. But there we go. Now I know it's not on your list. That's why I did it as number 2. So, number 1, James, what could it possibly be?
My number 1 is Art Society.
Oh, do you know what? I honestly didn't think you were going to put that. I thought you were going to put something else in.
No, it's, and again, purely theme, art. Don't care.
Yeah, same, mate. Same.
It was your game.
No. But I put it in because, again, Wayne had bought it from SN last year. Really hyped. I believe it was his number 1 game of last year. And I really enjoyed it. Again, I don't give a crap about the thing whatsoever. Yeah. I just nothing to do with it. I'm not a fan of art. I'm quite skeptical when it comes to art.
If someone had described that game to me as you're building an art collection, I would have been like, pass.
Yeah. Straight off the bat. And that was my initial thought of it. But the only thing that led me to carry on playing with that and agreeing to Wayne playing it was the bidding side to it. I love bidding games, so... sorry, this is your number 1. You carry on, mate.
It's... I'm playing it and trying to position all the pieces on that wall. I love that side of it. Like you said, the bidding mechanic is great. It's just a game, again, that was when it was put in front of me, I just went,
Yeah.
I had it in my head. Again, it's a bad thing to do. It's just like, solid pass. But I'll give it a go anyway because
we're here.
Hey, let's give it a try.
We're here at a game night. It's on the table. Let's give it a go. But I think if we're going by last week's episode, this is a game that I think I'm going to turn around to and go, yeah, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
And I was wrong.
Yeah.
Again, another one of these. This entire list that I have built, if you're taking anything away from it, is play games regardless of the theme.
Yeah. Absolutely.
At the end of the day, I think that's
the lesson learned here on the top 5 is
it's hard. I understand because theme is a big part of games.
100%.
And what we choose to play.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't stop you from playing one.
No, exactly. And, I was sort of in the same boat as you, really. I'd heard there was obviously 2 art, air quotes, themed games that came out that year. You've got the Art Society and, of course, the Art Project.
Yes.
Now, visually, looking at the games, I definitely radiated more towards the Art Project.
Yeah.
I actually own the Art Project.
Yeah.
Very, very good game. If I'm being honest, I prefer Art Society. I actually like that game a lot more. I like the bidding mechanisms. I like that sort of, I guess, semi-polyomino type placement mechanism that they've got going on there. And then I like the restrictions of, you can't put this frame next to this frame or this colour next to this colour. And then you've got to get this stuff in this eye line is going to score you loads more points. And then by doing that, you've also got the economy section as well where, because we keep ditching
this certain colour, it goes up in value.
It's like suddenly really valuable. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. Now I want those valuable ones in the eyeline site so they score more. But then it's, but now I'm going to start taking them. Now all the others are becoming more valuable.
Yeah.
And, you just sort of, I really like that. Everything sort of works nicely and intertwined in that game. It's really, really good. And like I said, if you didn't own that, 100% I'd buy it. Because I do prefer that over the art project. However, you've got it. I don't need it as well. We've now got both those art games.
Yeah. So same with Art Project. I quite enjoyed that. I've only played Art Project once, but I'd like to play again. So there's no point in me buying it.
It's
you own
a
it. So
totally different game as well.
Of course it is, absolutely. But
I mean, the Art Project arguably has got very little to do with art in it, to be honest. But yeah, the Art Society, I can totally understand where James is coming from. I ain't that person that looks around the art galleries. I'm that person that will probably be denied entry into the art gallery.
Yeah, I mean, the reason this is my number one is because if I'm not a fan of animal theme, I'm really not bothered about art themes. I'm just not interested.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was definitely a game. I don't care about art. I feel the way about art themed games that you as Jason was saying about Wingspan and birds.
Yeah.
Totally. I don't care.
Yeah.
But the mechanisms in this game works really well, and it is a really fun, enjoyable game.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's one that I've not just with friends. My family play it as well. They really love. My daughter loves this, and again, not because it's to do with art. I think it's because the mechanics are quite nice and smooth, and younger children can play it if they want to as well. It's quite easy to understand. But no, I honestly thought you were going to put Chinatown. I didn't think Art Society was going to go in there. So I'm quite shocked, to be honest. I was like, because he rung you up. And asked for that name. I said, it's got to be Chinatown. So I remember he really enjoyed that. But he was intimidated because I remember the first time he said he played that, he was like, I'm not too sure about this. So I thought that was going to be number one.
I think it's because he forgot.
Quite possibly.
Or maybe it was an honourable mention.
I said I didn't have it. To be fair, I genuinely forgot about that.
Fair enough. But I thought that would be number one. No, still a great pick, mate. And I'm quite glad you enjoyed it.
Good. Anthony, you're number 2, sir.
Number one.
Number one. That's
number
it.
One.
We're number one. Yeah.
Number one.
We're there now, aren't we? Number one.
My number one is Avalon.
Okay. Yep.
The social deduction game. So I picked this because it was my first experience with a social deduction game.
Yeah.
So again, very new to the hobby, very new to the game side of it, and this is one I never played. I played this with the guys with Legends of podcasting, and I think for me they threw me in straight away. They knew I already played a social deduction game or something. Okay. So when I got my identity card and then they start throwing people in going, right, everyone close your eyes, stick out your thumbs. All right, Merlin, open your eyes. There's 2 bad guys in the room. Open your eyes and have a look, see who they are and all that stuff. I didn't have a clue what was going on here. It's like, should I be the one open my eyes? Who am I? Am I good? Am I bad? Whatnot?
Yeah.
But how it opened up my eyes to social deduction, how people really get into these type of games and how argumentative they are and how you try and twist and turn like you're playing for a trophy or something. How really people lose friendships over these games. I'm telling you now, this is crazy. And Avalon was just that eye-opener that I just thought to myself, can I ever get into something like this? And at the time, it turned out to be my favourite genre of board game at the time, or games at the time, should I say. Because the majority of these are just with cards, aren't they? Yeah, so you can't really call it board game, so we'll call it game. But Avalon turned out to be one of these games that is in my top 10 of all time. It got me through COVID, because we managed to play it online and stuff with other players and stuff. I still play it to this day. I love this game, but just as the genre of game it was, and how I try and get people into it. I done a board game night for my family the other day, and there's a Harry Potter version of it.
Yeah, and
just to try and get them into that because of the theme worked brilliantly, and just to see people how they get so argumentative and stuff is fantastic. I like being there. Let's look at them go. So Avalon has a big impact on my gaming life, and was a total shocker for me. Because I just got thrown into it and I had to just go with what I could. Like we did with the last episode. No one took notes or anything. We just went at it. Yeah. And I'm like, I think it's this guy. It's not me. Total fun, pure fun, and always do every time I play that. So Avalon is number one.
Excellent choice, sir. Very, very good choice indeed.
Right. On to you, sir.
Okay.
Bring it home.
My number one, I mentioned earlier that it was going to be another game from Eagle Griffin Games. And this one, again, I have only played the once. And this one, I know neither of you have played. It's a game called Rococo. Now, this was a game that I think was initially released in... I want to say it's like 2007. I'm probably totally well out of whack. But
it's quite an old game, then.
The game that I have played was actually a re-release, a deluxe version.
Okay.
And because it was the deluxe version, it came with all these extra special bits. The art was redone and all of that. In that, the box became bigger. It became a standard Eagle Griffin size box, so it's in the same box as Escape Plan. It has the same Ian O'Toole artwork style, so it has that sort of, this is a heavy game look.
So what type of game is it then?
It's not actually as heavy as it looks, but basically you are a dressmaker. When you're making dresses for people that are attending a king and queen's banquet, and then like the end of the game involves like fireworks and all that. But you're making dresses to try and sell throughout the game. Again, I haven't played this in nearly 2 years now, but I really, really, really enjoyed the game. I was put off by the theme. I was like, I don't care about dresses.
I can't imagine you playing a game like this.
I mean, again, I attended a game day, and there was only one game that was about to start. I could see all the others were going to be at least an hour. I was like, fine, I'll jump in on this one. I don't want to sit around for an hour. And I really, really enjoyed it. I was very, very impressed. The production quality was sublime.
Is that just because it was the deluxe version of it?
Exactly, yeah. It's probably one of the best productions I think I've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
It was really, really good. The artwork was stunning. The gameplay was really interesting. There were some very interesting mechanisms. It has like a little bit of deck building in there, sort of, because you are basically buying workers which are on your cards, but then instead of having to draw cards like you would in a normal deck builder, you always have them in your hand and you just pick 3 workers that you want to use that turn. And obviously different actions on the board can only be done by certain people. I think you've got bronze, silver, gold actions and stuff like that. Obviously a bronze person is like a standard worker.
Right.
Your gold is going to be your sort of master of design and what have you. So they're going to be the ones that can employ people, whereas the bronze people can maybe do the production, whereas your master might not be able to do that. Silver kind of does a bit of everything, isn't quite as good as a master, and is just better than your base ones. And you are just trying to create lots of dresses, lots of top quality, high cost dresses, trying to make money, trying to get your name out there. And there's, from what I remember, there's like a display thing that as you create dresses, they will be displayed on there, and the more you get in there, the better you're going to do in points and stuff like that. It's a very, very interesting theme. It's another game that I would consider owning. I don't think I'd own it for long. I want to own it because I really want to play it again, but this game is rare. It's
wow. I was about to say,
rare.
is it? Yeah.
Especially the deluxe version, because I've looked at the original version. It's nowhere near.
It's nowhere, yeah.
It would have to be that deluxe version. And yeah, that's rare to come by that. I'd like to see that reprinted again at some point, and I would consider buying it to play. But other than that, it's a very interesting game. I was surprised purely because the theme really put me off. I thought it was a lot heavier than it was. And yeah, it's another one of those things that I saw Eagle Griffin games and I was like, this is going to be heavy.
Yeah.
This is going to be something I'm not sure about. And at that time, I hadn't played Escape Plan. So this really was my first step into Eagle Griffin games, those heavyweight games and stuff like that. I think that game is probably responsible for why I gave Escape Plan
a chance. Yeah.
Because I'd already played this and it was like, it wasn't as heavy as I thought it was going to be. Escape Plan was heavier.
However,
it wasn't as heavy as I thought it was going to be. And yeah, I was just very, very pleasantly surprised. Apparently, I like playing games about making dresses, as you do.
And you gave a game a chance, and look what happened. It's your number 1.
I did indeed, yeah. So there we didn't have one crossover, guys.
I honestly thought we would, but
out of interest, what did you think the one that was going to be on all our lists was?
Wingspan.
Arc Nova.
Wingspan. Yeah, Wingspan's the one that I thought would be on everyone's list, purely because we always talk about it and how we just...
Yeah. For me... the way me and Jason talk about Arc Nova and that it took us 3 plays to actually get it to click didn't really apply to this list for me because I went in I went into the game expecting to like it and then feel like I got knocked for 6 by the game and had to play it a couple of more times to get it to click.
Yeah.
So that's a slightly different one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I would feel the same.
Because it's a zoo builder, I went into that expecting to like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we think about the list, guys? Is there
Pretty
any
good
there?
list.
I thought really good, and like you said, no crossovers.
Yeah, interesting.
So we literally have 15 games there that we all gave a chance.
Yeah. So the takeaway, as you said, probably halfway through this episode, in fact, was just give a game a try.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether you think the theme's bad, the mechanism could be bad. If you're not sure, the only way to be sure is to give it a try.
I thought it was also good that we got a couple of games from your two that we hadn't heard of, or that people hadn't heard of, and we're like, oh, well, that sounds interesting, and now I want to play it.
Yeah, the one Jason literally mentioned, I never knew existed. I mean, when was that ever a thing?
Yeah.
So,
There you go. See, that's another good thing about
but if a new game comes out about making dresses, James,
Yep.
we'll get him to kickstart it.
Don't think I'm that invested in the theme, but we'll see. We'll see.
But no, good picks, guys. Really good picks.
Excellent. Right. Well, if anybody wants to say anything else, now is your time.
2 honourable mentions. One was Distilled.
Yes.
I put that on there purely because I wasn't too sure about the mechanic at the time, and the mixing mechanic is what got me to buy the game. Whether it lived up to it, it did. I owned it, and it ended up being one of your favourite games of all time, so it paid off to buy it.
Yep.
And second one, I kind of undeniable about this was going to be in the top 5, but I was going to put Flamecraft in
Okay.
purely for the art.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind Japanese art or that type of thing, but I think it was just, I'd be honest, the first time I saw that game, when I saw that art, it was too cute and cuddly for
This
me.
looks like a kid's game.
Exactly. Until I got to play it, when you showed it all to us, and again, totally blew my mind on it.
That's a very, very fair comment. I only have the one honourable mention, and I think James will remember this when I talk about it. This one really surprised me because I am not into party games at all. However, we got to play, I think it was Death by Coconuts. This was a game that my partner...
I need to play that game.
my partner purchased that game, and we sat down and played it one evening, and I actually really enjoyed it.
Yep.
I don't think there was much replay value there at all, but it was good fun. And I remember saying at the time, is like, if I'm ever going to play a party game,
And that would be it.
that's the one I want.
Yep.
That's the one I want. I'll take that any day, and I'll gladly sit down and play it. So there you go. That was the other one that I was going to bring up. So there you go.
Yeah, that's it.
Shall we head off, guys? We're going to have a couple of weeks break. Luckily, the listeners won't have a couple of weeks break because these will be released while I am away.
This is it.
And
enjoy your holiday, sir.
I will. Surrounded by lots of screaming children. Can't wait. But it's going to be nice to be away with the family, so I am genuinely looking
I think, James, we should just have a couple of games nights to us and just send in the pics. What do you reckon?
I did because she's obviously going to be away Monday night when we usually run in the game club. I was like, are you going to take a board game? Because, it's a staple. Monday night is gaming night.
James, do you remember what happened the last time I went away and had to leave you in charge of game night, and I may have had to phone you 4 or 5 times throughout the night to make sure you haven't burnt my club to the ground?
Really?
I did. Yeah, I'm quite paranoid about it. It's my baby.
So expect a phone call, mate.
Yeah.
Or 2.
But I tease him whenever he does it. It's like, relax, Jason. The hall is only slightly smoking.
You can hear like the fire alarm in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
It's totally unconnected. Enjoy your holiday.
Excellent stuff. Right, I am going to go and head off. And you've got to go to bed.
I do.
You're in work tomorrow.
Nice and early. Yay.
James, you're
At work.
doing something at work. I'm at work tomorrow, unfortunately, but it is my last day of work, so all good. I've got a meeting with the boss in the morning. This is going to be fun. Sure, look forward to that. But until next week for you guys, until
2 weeks.
2 weeks for us,
Break.
I have been Jason.
I've been James.
I've been Ant.
And you have been listening to the Meeple Money podcast. Join us next week for more tabletop gaming goodness. Ta-ta and goodbye.